Hi, my name's Ken Everett. I've been in the DOE in Hawaii for close to 30 years now. 25 years as a teacher and 4.5 years now as a substitute and also a tutor for the AVID program.
Stephanie Kamai. I was with the Hawaii Department of Education for more than 20 years. I started as a teacher at Farrington High School and then eventually became a counselor at several middle schools and finally an administrator at elementary and middle school level. And I'm currently a coordinator of field experience and I teach the capstone course at the University of Hawaiʻi, West Oʻahu, in Education Division.
Aloha, I'm Sky Stressman. I am a former teacher at the Hawaii DOE during the pandemic. I am currently now a private school teacher after leaving the DOE about a year ago.
Among the factors causing teachers to leave the DOE pre-pandemic were, of course, the age-old, the money doesn't make it.
The major issue is the pay.
I think some of the factors that contribute to educators leaving the profession of teaching has much to do with salary.
That's always been a complaint of teachers. The income they receive does not help them cover their expenses as much as they thought it would.
You want good people, you got to pay for it. And we have a lot of really good people that are sacrificing essentially their careers and their salary to be teachers because they're passionate about their industry. But that's the number one factor, I think, is the pay. We have to increase the pay to match, the degrees, the college degrees that we're receiving and, really match industry. Anybody else with the same experience and college degree is always making more money than teachers.
Primarily it has to do with salary and the cost of living here, especially in Hawaii.
Another issue is a really lack of support and like overworked. Teachers, we just get work stacked up on us, over and over and over again without any consideration. Like, can this person actually do this? New innovations, new process, new things, and they're all great, and they ultimately will benefit the student, but it just increases the workload on the teachers. And to me, I think that is like the the burnout factor, just the being overworked.
This really hits home for educators in a lot of states, but most especially here in Hawaii. Many have experienced their fair share of struggles, and because of that, for some, they considered leaving the profession.
Highlighting the difficulties of filling Hawaii's teacher shortage. In the 2021-22 school year, 920 teachers resigned, while another 310 retired. That comes out to 1,230 teachers leaving the public school system.
Although not a part of those numbers, Stephanie Kamai, Sky Stressman, and Ken Everett are among those who have left the Hawaii DOE, all for various reasons, yet have experienced their fair share of struggles during their teaching career. For Ken Everett, it was administration.
You're dealing with incoming and outgoing administrators as well as their policies, and trying to put policies together, because you're teaching for a couple of years and all of a sudden everything changes. And that's kind of hard to keep up with at times.
And for Stephanie Kamai, it was the teacher pay and cost of living.
So the cost of living is definitely a factor when we talk about being able to support yourself on the salary for teachers. It was a challenge for me, and I think that's one of the reasons why I continue to pursue graduate degrees, because it offered me an opportunity to explore other options. So case in point, starting with the Department of Education, where my heart truly is still to this day. But working at the university level has given me time to think and reflect about how to work with our school system in a different way.
And for Sky Stressman, it is being overwhelmed.
I've definitely felt almost every teaching position I have is just being overwhelmed. I do feel those days where it's just too much, and it does like affect me mentally, and even physically, the stress gets on there and I feel overwhelmed and I don't feel like I'm doing a good job, that I'm not, being my best, or I'm not doing the best for my students. And it's really just sort of a lack of like, God, I could use 2 other people in my classroom at all times, and sometimes I'm like, well, why don't I have that?
With the effects that these factors have had on these former teachers, mental health comes into play. What is the importance of mental health, and is it necessary to be 100% to keep your sanity and well-being maintained?
I look at teachers and I think teachers be crazy, like you have to be crazy to take this job and stay in this job. There really isn't a lot of effective solutions that I've seen come through. And mental health is absolutely critical. I mean, how do we keep this is such an emotional job, more so than anything else that I've ever worked. You are dealing with students and their lives, and I mean, you are one of very few people, if not the only person, that some of these students can confide in and talk to about their issues and stuff, and their teacher, and we're not counselors, we're not paid to be counselors, but we sure operate as, counselors and parents and brothers and sisters and everything for our students,
I like to phrase it differently and frame it differently. So I think of mental health as well-being, and I believe that there is a responsibility that we have to ourselves to make sure we take care of ourselves in various ways, depending on what we're dealing with at the time, where our positionality is at the time. And so rather than expecting others to take care of us, I think we have a responsibility to take care of ourselves. Period.